got to just start the show early because I have a chip on my lap, and he will not be denied. What's this chipper doing? What's the chipper doing? You were outside my door. You're meowing like crazy, and you just don't want to go. I put you outside for a minute, and you just don't want to. You just want to lay here because it's sweet, and you want to sit on my lap. I gotta do a show. Let's give him a show. Hi, folks. I'll be with you in a second. I'm talking to Chip. He says hello. Do you just need emotional support right now? Or is it the scratches? It's the scratches, isn't it? He's been very lovey today. I think I was gone for too many days, and now he just won't have it. So he just sits and look at this. Just needs the scratches. He's just petting and the yeah. Can you? All right, I'm putting you. You can go. You're staring out the door now. Now that the show's going on. Now you want to know. That's fine. Excellent. Now that you're all over me. Hold on. Now I have to get it. Silly boy. I gotta do. I can't. Oh, watch it. I'm a professional. I'm professionally. I can't be covered in hair. This. Bow chicka wow wow. All right, that'll do. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hello. Thank you for joining me. Sorry, I just if I'm distracting with the roller, but Chip just would not be denied. To the point where I was like gathering my clips and stuff, and he would not get off my lap to even do that. So I'll settle in. I'm just settling in, and everything's fine. And how are you? Hi, good to see you. Great show for you today. Happy it's a Monday. Happy Monday. Happy post Batman midnight for those of you that stayed up and watched The Batman, which I think came out on HBO Max last night. We were going to watch it as a family, and then it turned out it was midnight West Coast, so the people on the East Coast would have to watch it at 3 o'clock in the morning. The hell is that about? So we're all going to watch it tonight after dinner. So please forgive. Tomorrow on the show, I will be having my regular show in the afternoon, and then 5:30 I'll be jumping over to do a podcast. Details to follow, and then on through the rest of the week. Next week, Ultimate Jam Night is for the support of Ukraine relief, and then next Wednesday, Nerd Halen Viper Room. Oh yes. There may or may not be 360 video afterwards. We're going to finally get that together. Very excited. So you can, if in the middle of the show you get bored, you can turn around and look at the audience. Wearing your VR goggles, virtually enjoying the show later. Something like that. I think that's what's going on. Anyways, all right, let me open the chat. Hi, everybody in the chat room. Good to see you. Welcome. 500 Loops. Happy 59th name day. Fantastic. We're all hanging out. It's good to be here. I jump started, so it'll take a minute for people to get in. I was running late, so I just decided to pop right on. So it'll take a little while. Everybody can just filter in. It takes a moment. We'll just relax into this, as it were, and we'll hit our regular numbers throughout. Now, I don't want to. I got some isn't it bromantic stuff for you later. But I figure we'll ease people into this with the manly machismo that is Dan Bongholio. Yes, the Dan Bongholio show is still on the web. It used to be on the radio, and now it's just a podcast. But the nice thing is just call it a show, and nobody gives a shit. Not that they did in the beginning. Now, the reason this one fascinated me, of the many things that come across my plate that I have not looked at, is the title. I always love it when the strategic minds at Faux News and their crowd get to tell me what I'm thinking and what the Dems have planned and their strategy, what they're going to do and what's going to happen. There will be a desperate Hail Mary before the election. Now, technically, I know what you're thinking. Hal, it's before the election right now. That's true. It's also going to be before the election for quite some time. So this doesn't have to be true at all. Yeah, I think it's going to be, oops, I think they hit. My shirt is green. That was a mistake. I apologize. I was too busy chasing a cat to fix it. So if I'm a little ghosty today, that's why. Apologies. It's good. You can say I'm not blocking anything now. My shoulder's got a see-through shoulder today. It's very sexy. It's the equivalent of I'm like a female host on Fox News. Yes. So Bongino no doubt has the inside scoop.
Acumatica, the cloud
I don't know what that
for construction.
It's true. It's great.
There it is. Psaki.
Here it comes. This is it. Here we go. What's doing? Let's have it. What?
Telling you in her own words.
In her own words.
How Biden
Jesus
is getting ready to do this.
First of all, the fuck, dude.
They are going to do it before.
Okay, that's not me then. That's his microphone is overmodulated. What's he wearing? He's wearing a no quarter given shirt because God damn it, he's not going to quarter soldiers. They're not going to take away his ability to quarter soldiers, or they're not going to allow him to quarter soldiers, or he needs 2 quarters. I don't know. I'm going to bring this down, but
election because they understand the animal unfairness model works.
You see that?
As I just said.
By the way, did you hear that? No matter how low I turn it, it's still fuzzy. Oh dear. This is what happens when you spend all of your money on Dan Bongino mic cubes and you don't spend it on hiring a union sound professional.
Saki, just about a month and a half ago, a little bit.
Yes, watch the full podcast. Okay, first of all, you don't watch podcasts. You listen to them. This is asshole.
Talking about student loans. She's asked the question. You'll hear the reporter in the beginning. Hey, the Biden.
Oh, the Hail Mary's going to be that they're going to get rid of student debt. Is that what he thinks?
Administration's looking at canceling student loans. This is portrayed by, and she says, by the way, that Biden's like all in on this idea, right?
No, she doesn't. She says they're looking at their options.
Being portrayed to you by the Bernie AOC progressive crowd, right? As some kind of protecting the have-nots against, okay, you have-nots, you got all the student loan, the banks. By the way, they don't tell you 2 things here in the student loan narrative. The government owns the student loan business now. Do you notice how they leave that out? You're being exploited, Joe. Who, by the government? The government runs the student loan business. So the government that screwed you is now going to forgive the screwing?
Yeah, I guess technically what they're talking about is forgiving the federal part of it because it ends up being effectively like a bailout, like a middle-class bailout, effectively, that we would just kind of release a brain trust into the public. And that's why they can't get rid of all of it, because it's not. It's actually, they guarantee it. They don't pass the money out, dum-dum.
And when they say forgive, what do they mean forgive?
They mean to give as before, as Jesus would want. And
I'll get to that part in a second, because all debt.
Please do.
Paid, right?
Right.
Here's Psaki, because this is coming. This student loan forgiveness thing is coming as a pre-election ploy meant to portray the have-nots. Like, look, we're here for the have-nots. They're screwing you. You're have-not because of them. Check this out.
Chuck Schumer has also talked about the importance of canceling student loan debt. Why is this not an issue that, with broad public support and support within its own party in Congress, has the president not worked or pushed harder on to cancel?
Well, the president has conveyed he'd be happy to sign a bill into law that all of those members could work to get passed.
There it is.
Right. Yes, there it is. He cannot do it by executive action. Anybody who tells you he can is an asshole. To get rid of that much debt, because Congress holds the purse strings, you would have to pass a bill that forgives, wipes, or pays off that debt. The lie that's happening is that Biden, by a stroke of his pen, can just get rid of all the debt. Now, imagine, if you will, Donald Trump with the ability to forgive debt for a portion of society at his whim. Right. Just let that. I'm not even going to tell you what he would do with that. You just germinate on that idea again. Like that if the president of the United States could forgive all debts that are backed, any and all debts at any point, any and all debts that the government backs.
Telling you in her own words,
yes,
how Biden is getting ready to do this. They are.
No, he isn't getting ready to do this. He said he'd be happy to. Oh, fucking hell, this guy's dumb. Asshole, that's actually her mitigating that desire. And again, even the question from the guy was, there's not a huge amount of support, even in the party, for it as a across the board kind of thing. But she's like, he's happy to do it if it's done by an act of Congress. He can't do it through an executive order like some people think. That's it.
To do it before the election because they understand the animal unfairness model works in humans, as I just said. The problem, folks, is twofold.
I suppose he was talking about Animal Farm. That's their favorite new, since they've dried up. Here's the problem. These guys usually use 1984. Totally, we're in 1984, up is down, black is white, male is female, no one knows whatever. All right. That general notion has worn out its welcome because they were backing Putin right up to the time, and some of them still are, but right up to the time he attacked. So they bought hook, line, and sinker his sort of 1984 inversion language. I'm denazifying the Ukrainians. So, right, Jonathan, this is the Animal Farm reference. This is what they got now.
The government runs the student loan business. They're the ones screwing you. You're a have.
No, they don't. Any more than the IRS runs your income.
Not because of them. The second problem.
I'm guessing I'm going to go out on a limb and say not a lot of student loan debt in his past because not a lot of studenting. Not that I can throw stones. I didn't go to college or university either. A lot of extension courses in my past, kids. Yes, the UCLA extension, the Hollywood Vocational School.
Student loans are never forgiven. Of course they are, Dan. They're discharged. No, folks. All debts are paid. Milton Friedman said it best. All debts are paid.
Is that how he said it? Is it Milton Friedman just said all debts are paid? Because some debts aren't paid. As a matter of fact, call Alex Jones right now and ask him if he's going to pay all his debts.
How, Dan? If you don't pay it back, it's not paid.
Okay, Dan Bongino is having conversations with himself now.
It is. They're either paid by the debtor or the creditor. If I loan Joe money and he pays me back, the debt is paid. Paid by the debtor.
Right.
If I loan Joe money and he never pays me back, the debt is paid too. By me. Yep. The creditor.
Yeah, we're not talking about the loan itself, asshole. Largely, we're talking about, in case of what they're probably going to do, is the interest on the loan. That the accumulated interest, which the state would make profit on, they would just forego the profit. This is, by the way, if you want to forgive a big chunk of student loan debt and you want to actually make this clear all the hurdles, make student loans interest-free. And insofar as what the government action that they're talking about could be, is the elimination of a lot of people just when they talk about people who are in trouble because of their student loans, a lot of what they're talking about is accumulative interest over time. So if you could zero that out, it would help them immensely, right? And the government, if it decides we don't need that money, we're just going to budget without it existing, then it's gone. It's not the same thing. So one of the things that the Democrats could and probably will do, although the Republicans will fight them the way they did capping the cost of insulin, is to introduce a bill where loans for education are interest-free. Donna says they give big corporations 1% loans. That's because they have a lot of collateral, physical collateral and business collateral, and also largely the size of those loans is such that the 1% is enough to protect the interest rate over time, and they also lend the money out and they create more, and it rolls forward. That's that whole like $1 of investment creates $7 in the economy, that kind of shit. That's why that is. It's different from the education. Although in a person's life, that education, depending on what you study, obviously, and it's been watered down by like esoteric studies over the last 25 years, but most of the time, a degree in your life, the cost, every dollar spent on your education adds $7 to $12 to your wealth expectancy.
There is no debt that's forgiven.
Yes, there is. If the debt includes the interest and they decide they don't need the interest anymore. As a matter of fact, it used to be in biblical times that debts that lasted longer than 7 years were just forgotten.
Ever.
Of course, they had to fix that because at about 6 years and 8 months, people start getting their asses kicked.
So now the government, who screwed these kids over because the student loan industry is a mess, giving out
kids, motherfucker. The people with the biggest debt are grown people. First of all, they're all grown people. They're 18 or higher when they get into college. But secondarily, a lot of the more expensive stuff, the people who are really saddled with a lot of it, went to law school, went to postgraduate studies, got their PhD, got their doctorate, all that kind of stuff. They're grown people. They're highly educated grown people.
Loans to people, some of them who didn't need them and who managed it horribly. It's not.
Well, if they don't need them, then they can pay them off. That's why you means test the forgiveness. Especially if it's jobs like that we need lots of, like teachers or nurses or shit like that. You just subsidize that through a bunch of different routes.
Going to forgive it, number two, meaning who pays for it? The taxpayer.
Oh, God.
It's kind of weird because you got a lot of people out there working their butts off. Painters, carpenters, HVAC folks, electricians, some who went to college, some who didn't. But the country works because of them. They built it.
Right, asshole. This is his version of what he was warning you about. Just understand the beginning of this video when he was like, they're going to take the have-nots and make it against the haves because you've been saddled with this student loan debt, when the real have-nots are the HVAC technicians and all that shit. Which, by the way, there's been a ton of Democratic spending, especially in budgets, both in the Obama administration and, of course, the Biden administration, much of which, by the way, was co-signed and forwarded during the Trump years as if they thought it up, that people who have to update their education as HVAC people who are like doing solar panels now and having to hook up the electrical system to the shit that goes in the house, and they need a little extra education about that stuff, can basically go back for free. That's already there. Continuing education expenses are either something you can write off on your taxes, or that there's actually like block grants and all kinds of shit for that.
They continue to build it. They literally build it. Construction workers, painters, carpenters. You live in a house or have a vehicle you're driving in because of an auto worker or a construction worker that literally built this country.
That's amazing. Never really thought about that, man. Hope whoever built this place wasn't an asshole. If the place caves in on me, find out who built this place and you give him a good talking to, folks.
Beautifully. Some went to college, some did not.
Right.
But their value to society.
And don't try to find out by sticking your tongue in an electrical socket. I wonder if the fuses in my house are actually up to code, or if they just fucking put pennies in there.
Is immeasurable. There is no society without what's in their brains and their skills. And now they're paying off your rich neighbor's kids basket weaving.
All right, this is the whole thing. This is, and what their narrative that's going to go for is that the Democrats are going to try and wipe away the debt of people who took gender studies and like Marxist philosophy. They're going to get their education paid off by you, the hardworking HVAC painter and plumber in his spare time, who also has a weekend band. Bless his heart. but you're going to be paying for this kid with his useless degree.
Agree? 13.
By the way, underwater basket weaving was a joke from the 80s about what you were going to study in school. Just as just to show you how up to date his references are.
Century feminist degree?
Fuck, man. First of all, the fuzzy mic on his end is driving me crazy. It's terrible. And the funny thing, the best thing about this is the beginning of this clip. He said you could watch the whole show on another channel at some shit, and it just how it was a joke in the 70s. Well, Mark, I'm sorry, you predate me in that one, like high school. But thank you for schooling me. I appreciate it.
East Tuna Fish University, they're paying it? All debts are paid. All debts are paid.
No, they aren't. No, they aren't. And if they are, hooray, fuck Alex Jones.
But the Democrats are smart. I'll give them that. They're tactically very smart. They want you to believe the student loan thing is a protection racket for the have-nots against the awful in financial institutions in the student loans. What they're not telling you is they're running the racket in the government, and they're taking money from the taxpayers to pay off the wealthiest members of society.
Hold on. To pay off the wealthiest members of society. Fuck me. The interest rate in it's just backed by the taxpayer. Jesus.
Those who have college.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did no one go to college with student aid during the Trump years, or all aid of Bush, or during Reagan, or fuck me? There's so many people who are part of the grumble squad about how much accumulative debt they've done that are in the AOC like age range, who went to college, like a little older than her, that went to college during Bush 2.
What a
thanks. What a scam. You know what a scam is? Those VST plugins you're using on your microphone. They are just not up to the task. Dan has a psychology degree? Oh my God. Apparently, it was one of those, I'm just going to go with multiple choice. The whole thing, 4 years of multiple choice with 2 choices, and the teacher sitting there next to you going, now, everybody's gathered in, right? So I gone out on a limb for you guys. I'm doing the awful work that is required to get this show to the next level. And in the process, sometimes, don't forget to like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up, support the show in any way you can. Thank you, patrons. Sometimes, patreon.com/HAL SPARKS. You guys are the best. Thank you. It's the things I have to watch to be prepared to even understand Kel fuck. And no. And by the way, we're not watching Robert F. Kennedy. No. We don't need to. That's like with that ship has sailed. We're literally like, that dude needs to he needs to buy a one-way ticket to Shanghai and start screaming. Yes, ball nuking for the win is correct. So let me bring you into the tortured world of Tucker Carlson origami. Origanamis. Now's originangles. Oh, is that working? What's happening? Play. Come on, you.
Andrew McGovern has thought a lot about this. He said,
hold on. There's a little lead in or something. Oh, God. Here you go. What is happening? What is this? I don't know.
This client testosterone production rising for a calamity, and that's not hyperbole. It's not.
It's not. This is Tucker Carlson's manliness thing.
Exaggeration. It's just a mathematical fact.
Would you recommend young men to tan their balls?
To what?
By the way, for the record, that you're not wrong. That microphone on that interview with the guy was it was shitty. What's happening? First of all, as someone named Hal, I completely resent the use of this song. This is, yeah. It's what people are tuning in to see on Tucker Carlson's show. Clearly, I mean, it should come as no surprise to anybody who likes Tucker.
I like wood.
Since
deeper and longer.
Yeah, this is there's a line that comes to mind from let's see, Running Scared, where Billy Crystal says, honey, why don't you stick your nuts in a microwave, Meet a Maid? You know, and that line, I don't know why, just jumped into my head forever. Yeah. Also, why would you solo ball tan? All right. I guess because you don't want to age the rest of your skin and balls look old no matter how young they are.
Once a society collapses, then you're in hard times. Well, hard iron sharpens iron, as they say, and those hard times inevitably produce men who are tough, men who...
That's an ice bath or whatever. Basically, just so you know what's going on here, Tucker Carlson is trying to cash in on the myriad of proto-masculine videos on YouTube that are very popular, many of which have function, whether they are trainers or people like Wim Hof teaching you to deal with cold, or motivational videos. This is just his sappy, shitty version.
Resourceful men who are strong enough to survive.
What the fuck? I drink eggs like that. You guys have seen me.
And then they go on to re-establish order, and so the cycle begins.
That's, by the way, that's a red light therapy bed. That's for anti-aging. This is something that is less something you would find in like a soldier's kit and more in like a Patrick Bateman kit.
Again.
Also, for the record, I think it's wonderful that Tucker seems to be coming around to the idea that gay men can be masculine. Good for you, Tucker. Yeah, this is as metrosexual as you get, and this is not an abnormal thing to find that gay men have at all, which is, and by the way, straight guys, you know, we could learn a thing or two. You know, clean yourself up for your lady. I'm just glad the manscaping has caught on. The end of men. Yes, we understand what you mean. Why flexing? Why flexing? You're not getting the light on your arms now. You're missing that part. You're making your forearms age.
There's nothing more unfortunate, said the President of the United States on camera, than, quote, soft, chubby, fat children. That's part of the JFK legacy they don't tell you about. But that was a common view up until recently. Of course, now it's completely different, and the follow...
By the way, the fact that this dude is lecturing anybody on the importance of masculinity...
Testosterone levels is a big reason why. Andrew McGovern has thought a lot about this. He's in the fitness business, and he
certainly is. How'd you meet, Tucker? We met in a steam room, actually. Also, there has been a lowering of testosterone in society in the last 40 years in men. It's almost entirely caused by obesity. That's it. You could just track the rise in obesity to the lowering of testosterone in men, period. Once you reach a certain point, you become morbidly obese as a man, your testosterone levels go down. Also, we're aging. So we're an older populace. That happens. We have more living old people. So statistically, per 100,000, there are more old people than there were 20, 40, 60 years ago or whatever the fuck. And of course, older men, their testosterone levels are down. Like, this is so this is so baseline. We do not have like, oh my God, 18-year-olds, have given up on sex. Please.
Obsession is how do you reverse the effects of falling testosterone? And again, we think it's a big deal. So does he. We're happy to have Andrew join us.
Yes, we're happy to have him join us in Southern California. Well, first of all, nothing will sap your ball juice faster, Tucker, than being on a big girly blue carpet. And at least have a red carpet. It's Hollywood. Also, apparently folding chairs.
Andrew, thanks so much for coming on. So I don't think anyone has...
First sign of a total man, don't say thank you back. Of course, it is Tucker. And he's having a hard time making eye contact with this dude who's like totally... All right. I've told the Colin Farrell story before, but I'll skip it. But there are a lot of like books on like ape dominance behavior between men that a lot of guys read. And they'll do this thing where they don't break contact with your eyes and don't blink until you do. It's a great strategy. And it also establishes you as the primary dominant male in the space. It's very baseline. It doesn't work with with everybody. Certainly if people have like intellect and a sense of humor, doesn't quite work. But with guys who don't, it gets very difficult for them to continue looking at you. Yeah, so.
Settled on a cause of this, but there are solutions to it. What are some of them?
We haven't settled on the cause. Probably, I would blame the election of Obama.
I think the solutions are actually pretty simple. I think the challenging part is
ball tanning,
reestablishing paradigms that we've been exposed to, as we grow up and whatnot, right? And so to keep.
Yeah, totally. I get you. Expose your balls to paradigms you've grown up with and whatnot. Absolutely. So expose your balls. Okay, I'm with you. Okay, next.
Simple. Eat whole foods.
Yes.
Eat predominantly meat.
Yeah, by the way, eat whole foods. Don't, like, if you have a pineapple, eat the whole thing, like Mr. Creosote, until the spiny part sticking out of your mouth go. I couldn't eat another bite. I'm absolutely stuffed.
Based products. You can't eliminate your exposure to EDCs, endocrine disrupting chemicals, but you can mitigate them.
How?
By the way, he means EDCs. One of them he's talking about is soy. That's where the whole soy boy thing comes from, because the endocrine system. When you're producing your secondary sex characteristics, because they get muted by these softening foods.
Give us one. I know there are a million ways, but just give us one.
Fragrances.
Well, like never. Oh yeah. Don't wear cologne. Is that going to be the one? Hold on.
If you can just eliminate fragrances in your household products, cosmetics, deodorants, toothpaste with fluoride and such, plastics.
Yep, fluoride. Yeah, soy ups your estrogen. Plastics. I mean, that's just that'll interrupt male or female. It's not a matter of. It's just damaging to the system. That's it. Okay, it's fine. We're all working towards that. Again, this dude's pretty run of the mill.
Microplastics have been found in human blood now. So try to drink out of glass, metals. You saw in the clip.
Glass, but yeah, that is true. Glass metals are the best beverage containers. If you could find glass metals are the strongest glass or the weakest metals. I forget.
If you want to optimize and take it to another level, expose yourself to red light therapy.
Yes.
Yes. Look at, and by the way, and then cut to him, no socks, loafers, because he's a wild man, khaki jeans, high watered, and then from like the waist up, assistant manager at a golf course or first year architect. Like, that's the outfit. And you're going to cut to him, go, yes, okay, what do I need to do? Like, this looks like an intervention for Tucker. While you're at it, why don't you get Ben Shapiro one piece of wood so he can tell you how trying to make his wife come is a waste of time.
Juve that we were using in the documentary, there's a massive amount
Which
of
is testicle tanning.
It's testicle tanning, but it's also full body red light therapy.
Yeah, and by the way, that's not testicle tanning. The red light therapy is a totally different spectrum of light. It's silly. He's trying to make it testicle tanning because he knows that's because it worked. It worked. Everybody was talking about this bullshit today on the internet. It's not testicle tanning. It's exposing your genitals to red light therapy, the rest of your body. But I know a lot of people use red light therapy. It's totally whatever.
Has massive amount of benefits, and there's so much data out there that isn't being picked.
Planet Fitness has these red light therapy things. They're called total body fitness things or whatever, and they vibrate when you're standing on them, and then they submit like multi-spectrum red light. You can do it. Yeah.
Covered.
So obviously half the viewers right now are like, what? That's testicle tanning? That's crazy.
And the other half are like, I, as a white man, I don't want my balls any browner than any other part of my body. It's Tucker's audience, so I'm presuming. Here's a man confused. I thought the whole purpose was that that area that the sun don't shine, and now you're telling me different?
But my view is, okay, testosterone levels crash and nobody says anything about it. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. So your testosterone levels, you're just saying, Tucker, have crashed. Okay.
So why is it crazy to seek solutions?
It's not crazy to seek solutions, and I think.
No, and by the way, this is a straw man, effectively. He's like creating his own adversarial straw man.
I was recently exposed to a term called bromeopathy, and I think there's a lot of people out there right now that don't trust the mainstream.
Yeah, bromeopathy. Bruh, it's bromeopathy. I call it Romeopathy. It's, because I got one of my balls is a lover, the other is a fighter. That's how it hangs.
And they're taking it upon themselves to seek out that information for themselves, do some experiments on themselves, gain some experiential knowledge.
Yes, experiment on yourself. This is the great knowledge you will receive on Tucker Carlson Originals. No wonder he had Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on there. Experiment on yourselves. Don't experiment on yourselves, please. People, do not. I mean, you can, unless you're, try different foods. How do you know you don't like it unless you've tried it? I think that's fucking hell.
And fight the impacts of negative testosterone,
yes,
which are crippling for men.
Which are crippling. That's exactly right.
That's exactly right. I did not know until just now that Tucker views himself as crippled.
They make you less of who you are and who you were meant to be.
Absolutely.
Yes, they do. They make you jowly and prone to bow ties. And also, if left untreated, you end up with one of Rachel Maddow's old haircuts.
Part of this documentary, we are grateful for your bravery and for your commitment to evidence-based science.
Thank you.
Bravery, first of all, and evidence-based science is not experiment on yourself.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you. So free speech made Hollywood its prerequisite for creativity. You have to be able to say what you really think. You have to express.
Yeah, you have to be able to say what you really think. I think. I mean, I'm just saying.
Inside you. But too few in the so-called artistic community are willing to do that anymore. It's just a lot easier and more lucrative to be silent and go along.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've heard that some actors and comedians are afraid to even go on the internet every day and call it like they see it and call out things like the Hunter Biden laptop as bullshit or face the ramifications of speaking out politically. I've heard that. That's true. I mean, I don't know if that's true. I don't know. That might not be true. I mean, I have to say that was passed along to me by somebody.
With everything. One famous person who refuses to do that is Kid Rock. And so we saw.
Oh, fuck's sake. We already saw that. Yeah. Goodbye. So when that whole special comes out, the bromeopathy bromance show, we'll watch that whole thing together, you and I. And holy hell. Also, I have to cut the show short today because I'm going to go get my balls tanned. Some of you aren't here for this morning. Excuse me 1 second. Going over here. Grab this little guy. Open this up. Drag it over here.
He's going to take the fucking thing away from you. He's going to kill you with it. And then he's going to have sex with your face.
It's my favorite line from Mindhunter. I played it this morning on the morning show. But that's and that's it, like, what is a ball? What if I bought one of those ball tanners? Then what would he do?
He's going to take the fucking thing away from you. He's going to kill you with it. And then he's going to have sex with your face.
Sorry. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed the tool cover, Rob. I appreciate that. That was good. I'm trying to get better video of it. I think Jess has it from the jam. So fingers crossed. My morning show starts at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Tuesday and Thursday I go to the gym, so I don't do it in the morning. I got to have a break sometime. Fucking hell. Okay, so let me open this up for you. Hold on. So most of the time, mostly, where is it? There we go. Is this it? Yeah, here you go. So I'm just going to give you an indication of something that. There we go. Okay, open up. There we go. Open. There we go. So the bill that just passed the Kentucky legislature that was vetoed by the governor, and then they overrode his veto, that basically is attempting to end abortion in the state of Kentucky by effectively making it illegal for pharmaceutical companies or telemedicine that have not met someone physically, which like during COVID might have slowed shit down, but it's not going to anywhere else, has set up a couple of rules that somehow they think is going to, effectively make it impossible for people to use it. Here's what this bill actually does. There's a couple of things in it that will be thrown out on medical privacy grounds, but the vast majority of what's in here is gonna do nothing. I'm here to tell you. It's just bureaucratic bullshit that they're trying to create hurdles where they can do gotchas on clinics. And where they try to do that is that they make you fill out a lot of onerous information where you make the woman or the girl sign their name on a document and you sign it and you show it to them that it's going in some kind of file. And this is supposed to make them think, oh my God, they're going to keep track of the fact that I have an abortion. I won't have privacy a few years from now because it's going to have this. Okay. Most of it applies to underage girls. I mean, all girls are underage, but you get my point. Under the age of 18, minors. And in doing so, they have to keep a record of it for 5 years or 7 years, whichever, 5 years after they turn 18 or 7 years, whichever shorter. And then they throw it out. And also, even in their, you have to understand, these assholes, even in Kentucky, right, HIPAA protects all medical records and they can't bust HIPAA. And they know this. So a lot of this is just trolling. It's just a bunch of bullshit. And so what it's meant to do is, it's basically being mean to minors and young women who want to get an abortion. There are a couple of areas in this where, like, it's about this, the off-label use of pharmaceutical abortion of mifeprex and mifepristone. And so usually you take these orally separated by, I think, 3 days, and it induces an abortion. And that's what they're concerned about, is because you can actually go on telemedicine, talk to somebody outside the state, they mail it to you. Nobody's the fucking wiser because the mail's nobody's business and HIPAA keeps it quiet. So they passed this law that anybody inside the state has to talk, that you have to talk to somebody physically in the state, which is weird. And I mean, the interstate commerce shit that'll get thrown out about this is just stupid. Can you imagine the impacts this would have on fucking VA medicine about anything else? It's just silly. Like, they're jerking people around. This is bullshit. It's trolling. So what they're talking about is the SHAF methodology of, instead of orally taking mifeprex and mifepristone, you take it vaginally. That it is used in a vaginal suppository form in the same period, and that it can work later in the pregnancy, still within the legal limit, but more effective later in the pregnancy. If you take it orally within the first, say, 2 weeks of a pregnancy, it works fine. And then if you do it with this method, if you don't find out till way late, yes, it's plan B. That's right, Laura. That if you do that, the shaft, yeah, it sounds like shaft, but yeah. So the use, that methodology is not danger-free. No medicine is. All medicines have contraindications and side effects. Contraindications and side effects. And in doing that, there is a, there are some cases, like in every medication, that there's been adverse events. It just happens, right? So they want the doctor to have to tell the person getting this and doing this, whether they do the shaft version or whether they do take it orally, that these dangers exist. They also want to tell them that after the first dose, you can reverse it if you regret it and the child won't pass. You have to take the second dose in time or it won't do anything and the child will live, and most of the time, and all studies, they're fine. So you got to tell them that. And then you also have to tell them that, what was the third thing? You have to offer them, you have to tell them that a lot of women have regrets, which is not statistically true, but the idea is that if any do, you got to let them know. And again, these are those kinds of things that start off very clunky, but then turn into a form and a short talk with your doctor, which, by the way, almost all doctors have this conversation. When you go to Planned Parenthood or any of these things, they do talk. The issue that most of the time anti-abortionists have is that they offer multiple possibilities. They go, have you thought about putting your child up for adoption? Have you had a miscarriage before? It may be possible that you miscarry before the first trimester. We can monitor it. Also, if you want to, you can do this. This is your option. So abortion as an option is spoken of. But in a lot of these situations, that's why the place is called Planned Parenthood. The whole purpose isn't it's not an abortion clinic. That's one of the options. If you're not ready to have a child, and having a child and being prepared for it is kind of crucial. If you don't, then, you might want to have options, right? And a lot of times, people go there and go, they don't even realize because of how these assholes have treated Planned Parenthood over these times, but Planned Parenthood offers a lot of fertility and prenatal care if you want to make sure that you have a baby, right? So, and this is what, like here, whereas in recent years, physicians have developed a method to potentially reverse the effects, potentially, that's a lovely word. I guess you have to tell them potentially. Reverse the effects of mifeprex and mifepristone. This abortion pill reversal or rescue process, has been discussed in a peer-reviewed study, and is based on decades of safe use of progesterone to stabilize and continue pregnancies. This is true. Like, if progesterone is used when you're on, there's a myriad of reasons why your doctor might give it to you to stabilize a pregnancy and make sure it comes to term when they're seeking to it. So they're thinking, hey, can you use that to after they've had the mifeprex, before they've taken the mifepristone, and all right, there we go. they're supposed to basically tell them how it works and say so. All right. Then there's a bunch of like record keeping stuff that they force them to do, and you have to have it on site and all that. Like, okay, there's a bunch of this shit. And a lot of the bill is definition stuff. So this is the stuff that's sort of onerous in it, and is crucial and kind of important. And they underlined it, and they made sure people noticed it. That the notice stuff about minors, where you have to tell their parents if they're getting an abortion, does not apply to any parent that has been enjoined by a domestic violence order, an interpersonal protective order, regardless of whether or not the person to be protected by the order was the minor, or been convicted of or entered into a diversion program for a criminal offense against the victim who is a minor as defined in this, or for a violent or sexual criminal offense under this. A copy of the minor's government-issued ID, a copy of the consenting parents' legal. This is the informed consent shall include. So if they are not criminals, or they weren't the one abusing them, and they've never been doing that, then you only can tell the parent. This is just like the Don't Say Gay bill. The Don't Say Gay bill, which is what everybody called it, has all these provisions in it because they know it will throw it out. They know it won't pass muster. So they put this stuff in there, and then they act like it's not in there for their voters, and then people on the left and Democrats react as if it isn't because nobody reads it. So there's a bunch of they go through this order. They have if you don't want to tell your parents and you want to be emancipated, there's a hearing about it, and then the records are sealed and yada yada. That's let's see. Yeah, best interest of the minor or not, you can't afford it, like that kind of stuff. Like they're trying to basically tighten off these other things. Now, the one area that it exists, and this is Kentucky, remember, is that part of what they're doing here is either whether you think they're being legit about it or not, or whether it's a regular portion of this, is that women who are trafficked are often forced or coerced into getting an abortion, even when the baby is not from someone that they were, employed to have sex with. In the case of this, it might even be their own husband or boyfriend or somebody for real in their life. But whoever's controlling them, the person trafficking them, or even that person themselves, forces or coerces them into having the child. And so a lot of this is hoops around that to make it look like we're just protecting trafficking victims, right? So we're just adding all these rungs in the ladder to do this stuff, because who could argue against that? And that's true. So don't. The 2 or 3 parts in this that are onerous and will make it impossible will be either destroyed by the Supreme Court and the HIPAA rules, or interstate commerce, or the law around transporting medication over state lines to anybody who is unable to travel. So you can't, just like you have freedom of travel in the United States, you cannot be forced to travel, right? So that'll fall apart under that. The idea that it creates an onerous expense for some people, they could argue that the state has a responsibility. They have a constitutionally protected right to this, but the state is making it impossible for them to travel, and states shouldn't have separate laws for stuff that is legally available. That's it. Yeah, this is the Kentucky abortion law, or the attempt at it. This is the one that they overrode the veto. Also, this bill does allow for an abortion to save the life of the mother, or protect the health of the mother. If she is endangered, quote, by a physical disorder, illness, or injury. And that if they try to bust the physician for giving them a later abortion or one past the limit, that this is a protected class of this particular bill. They bury it in there. They don't. Here's the thing. Most of us would be like, oh, good. Okay, so that's in there. That alleviates some concerns. Still a dick move, but whatever. They don't want the anti-abortion community to know how many outs they had to put into this fucking thing. What about the BS law trying to rapists can sue for child custody? There are already 4 states that allow custodial rights to people convicted of sexual assault. Like the Carolinas, I believe Alabama. That again, that's just that's a dinner bell for like stalker level rapists. It's terrible. So anyways, yeah, so anybody who intentionally or knowingly fails to conform to a requirement of this law is guilty of a Class A misdemeanor. You have a year and a hearing to prove that you weren't or you didn't. So a lot of this stuff is, it's the rapist family right? Well, that's weird, but okay. Still very strange. We're going to unpack. Okay, so these are by sections. They go through, the varying degrees of which part are right and wrong. They were off by a number. They added a section in the middle, so they had to bump all the numbers. And then whoever was writing this misspelled ensure several times and wrote the word for the old person drink. And then they spent a lot of the bill defining it. But anyways, oh God, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. So I read through the whole thing this morning, along with the work I do. There we go. The case law around Cincinnati Region v. Taft, which is what brought to light the version of the Schaff technique, and that they need to be informed because it doesn't. Oh, and there's a thing. The other informed thing that they have to put in there is that you have to inform the mother who has, pregnancy complications where it might endanger her life, that she is Rh negative when the child is Rh positive, because that could kill her later in the pregnancy. And there's ways you can fix that. And so you have to inform the mother, like, by the way, the reason you're having problems and complications, why you may have miscarried before, why you're concerned that you might be able to, is because you're Rh negative. We did the test and we can treat it, which most women try anyways. This is like perfunctory. Again, they're acting like they've invented something to make it, the assumption in the bill is nobody's even asking if these women know that they're Rh negative, and of course they fucking are, especially at a place like Planned Parenthood. But they're trying to make them look like they don't even want these babies to live. Like that's how they're selling it. So the Rh factor has to be dealt with. And then I brought this up to give you an idea, because some people may know my dad has kidney issues and has to do dialysis on occasion. And in this particular case, Kentucky's General Assembly has a series of laws, one of which is about Chapter 20, Regulation 18. This is about the law if you want to have a dialysis center. So this gives you some indication to baseline it against. And these are all they define all these people. And this wasn't contentious. They weren't fixing another law or adding another. This is just they licensed them, and this is what the standard was going to be. But to get a license, you had to have comply with all these things, develop and enforce written policies, and the administration and operation of the policy shall include personnel, practices, and procedures, job descriptions for each level of personnel, including authority, responsibility, classification, qualifications for the medical staff, medical care practices and procedures, prevention and control of hepatitis, peritonitis, and other infections, including appropriate procedures for surveillance and reporting of infections, housekeeping, handling and disposal of waste and contaminants, sterilization, disinfection. Okay, this is all the stuff they have to comply with if they're going to have a dialysis center. Okay, makes sense. They have to have a permanent site of operation. Can't move around. No moving dialysis centers in Kentucky. Which is weird because out in Appalachia, that would actually be a good thing. You roll in there with a fucking truck 2 times a week. Maintenance regularly scheduled hours. Maintain regularly scheduled hours during which dialysis services are available. Affiliation agreements. They make them a renal transplantation center agreement shall provide for medical and surgical specialty services. So they have to work with a transplant center. It's just like interactive. It's fine. They have to store patient care plans, the medical information for them, the information necessary, blah, blah, blah. Medical staff. They have to have, let's see, personnel, adequate number, organisms, where is it? Ethical and professional practices of its staff. There should be a medical director responsible for supervising the staff. The medical director shall be a full or part-time member. Yeah, here it is. The facility shall employ at least one full-time qualified registered nurse to be responsible for nursing services. If a patient is undergoing dialysis, a qualified registered nurse shall be on duty to oversee patient care. The facility shall also employ or have contracts for services with the following ancillary personnel: a qualified dietitian, a qualified medical records practitioner, a qualified social worker. And then they have to file incident expert. I thought it was very strange that these small government conservatives think that a dialysis center, not a renal specialist clinic, like where they're planning on getting people to get them ready for a kidney transplant or shit like that, but that they have to have a social worker on staff at that place. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Good. If somebody has a moment and there's somebody there, cool. But it's interesting that's, this is another one. And if they don't have, and they have to have a qualified dietitian on there, that is like, there's too many fat people law in Kentucky that they're dealing with. They got to talk to these people about eating better, and you got to have a dietitian in there telling them to eat their veggies. That's basically what they're talking about, because they're trying to lower that cost by fixing people's problem in the first place. But then the qualified social worker part, both of those that's a government decision. Neither one of those are necessary for the function of a dialysis center. They just aren't. It's good that they're there. I don't have anything against it, right? This is not strange for Kentucky. Kentucky likes to, and a lot of southern states, for all this nanny state, we want small government bullshit. Obviously, as Diane said in the chat, small government that's in your twat. Yes, they want government so small it can be used as a vaginal suppository with a spyglass. That this is pretty normal for red states like Kentucky to micromanage and nanny patients on all fronts. Yeah, social workers for patient safety. Agreed. Yeah. But again, the best practices, something you'd want to have at a dialysis center. But making it a feature of law is just interesting that way. I think it's fascinating. Speaking of suppositories, Mark Levin, who I'm fairly certain spends a good deal of time up his own ass, has come to save us. Mark Levin is here to save us all. I live in fear. Thank you, Mark Levin. You are my human inner tube. Throw it into the waters, the choppy flood waters of life, to drag me to shore. You'll be shocked by this title, I have no doubt. You'll be completely overwhelmed by this title. Biden is destroying our country. Mark Levin. By the way, he fucking well is not. Unless, of course, what he means by our country is not America, and maybe he's talking about Russia. Maybe he's talking about the country they were trying to create, which is kind of this old Wild West mentality. I can't even imagine him wanting a tougher world than he lives in. Like him and fucking Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson, they're all so fucking macho when they talk. But none of them would ever survive in a time where everything wasn't spoon-fed to them. Hold on. Let me open this up. There we go.
Reagan used to ask the question,
Uh-huh.
Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago?
Yes. Thanks for asking.
So I'll ask the question. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? Is the country better off today than it was 4 years ago under President?
Well, the employment's down and wages are up. That's true. Obviously, we're dealing with the 4 years ago, I don't know if you guys remember, we were about a year and a half away from a massive pandemic. We were walking blindly into a rake with no support. We thought we were doing great, sort of. I mean, unless, you're a woman or you're gay or you're trans or you want expanding social rights and or you're, I don't know, George Floyd's family. But a bunch of people were like, this sucks, he's an asshole, but, we're recovering from 2008 still and economically still a bit of an upswing. There's, back and forth about stuff. And then it turns out were we ever so innocent? The pandemic response team had been dismantled 4 years ago. The COPS system, which would have gotten rid of people like Derek Chauvin, perhaps even saving George Floyd's life. They were all being dismantled while we were working. And we were just everybody was just trying to make their way as best they could. And then we stepped on the rake.
Trump. Well, let's take a look at these dismal numbers. Numbers, and we're still heading south. Consumer prices, the price that you pay rose 8.5% in March.
No, it fucking well did not. Prices did not go up 8.5% in one fucking month. It reached 8.5% year over year from before Delta and before vaccination. Literally at the time when the Biden administration was ramping up vaccinations and we were still basically locked down. And they're like, we're going to go out. Oh, no, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not.
That's the highest in 40 years.
Yes, you all remember the Great Plague of 1980. When we were coming out in 1981, when we were coming out of the disco plague. It had torn the country to pieces.
8.5%. The Consumer Price Index, which measures a wide-ranging basket of goods and services, jumped 8.5% from a year ago on an...
Yeah, from year over year, fucko.
Unadjusted basis.
Oh, on an unadjusted basis.
The data reflect price rises not seen in the U.S. since the stagflation days of the late 70s and the early 80s. March's headline reading, in fact, was the highest since December 1981. Core inflation was the hottest since August 1982. You're feeling this.
So, by the way, apparently Jeff Cox just wants to throw the 70s stagflation in there, even though the numbers don't match that. And we've talked about this before. Look, you're not downplaying the reality of inflation caused by supply shock, COVID, the war, gas prices, all that kind of stuff, which have fuck all to do with U.S. policy. Let's see. CPI. See if there's a... By the way, I lived through the 70s. Anybody here lived through the 70s? Anybody remember the 70s? Remember how the 70s ended with fucking... It wasn't exactly... Oh, okay, here we go. Here's 1970. And if you'll notice, look, here's 2008 when everything took a shit, which was all monetary, by the way. And then here's 2014 when it went way down. And then here we are at 2020. This is inflation over here. Largely, the cost of gas still drove stuff up for a time being and whatever. And then it was just unavailability. You had money to spend and people were willing to pay to get to the front of the line in the United States. So we went up. But if you look at this, look at the comparison here. That's what he's talking about. This is 1980, 13% year over fucking year. which stacked on top of the year before. Whoops, annualized year. There you go. 6.5% in 77. Hold on. Why are these off by a little bit? Get out of here. Okay, I guess I have to go here. 1980, 5%. Get out of it. What are you doing? Why want to take my mouse? Take it. Take it, you bastard. So, raggeda. We've been kind of humping along fine. And then this is worldwide right here. Now this is U.S. dollar inflation since 1970. This is 2022. Okay, this is the from here to here. This is year over year, here to here. This is year over year. Inflation in 1970 was 5.72. We've maintained, the goal has been to keep it around 2% for a long time. That was monetary policy post-Reagan. They've been hanging on to that, jacked up here, and then it went back down. None of these were preceded by a pandemic, for the record. There you go. Buying power, this is what it looks like. Now, do you see a huge difference between, let's say, here and here, and here and here, and here and here? Like, there's definitely, like, here's 2020. There's adjusted. Does anything look interesting to that? Does that, if you squint, look like any big fucking deal, or just, quite frankly, the direction of costs? So, anyways, there you go. Buying power of $1. It's basically the same thing. It looped down to 1981, and then it evened out. Basically, it's maintained fairly well, considering. 74 was 11%. Okay, now, this is the question, though. Let me look over here. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Where are we? I'll put on the news thing. Hold on. Bringing something up. Hold on. There we go. Get out of here. Sorry, I'm trying to get the ads out of the way. Russia's Putin. Demand inflation is normalizing. Yes, it is normally going to fucking suck for a long time. Ruble has stabilized. No, it hasn't. They've been trying to back it by gold. Basically, they're trading on gold. The ruble isn't worth shit. It's an internal currency now. Cash forex is flowing back to Russian banks. Retail demand in Russia has normalized. Yes, normally people clamor for sugar. Inflation in Russia is stabilized. Because it's central bank top-down economics. It is what we say it's worth. Till shit needs to come from outside the country, and then unemployment in Russia is low. Yeah, well, it's because certainly not a lot of there's fewer employable men 18 to 35 than there were a couple months ago by about 20,000. Central bank rate cuts will make lending in the economy cheaper. Yeah, you think? Budget should support economy liquidity. Good luck with that. Why can't we have an economy like Russia's, Levin? Tell them.
This already. Due to the surge in inflation, worker wages, despite rising 5.6% from a year ago, weren't keeping pace with the cost of living. No, they're not. No. Now, granted, those wages will stay, and the cost of oil and gas will go down. When energy costs go down, people will maintain that wage change. See how that works? Something goes up 8.5%, and your wages go up 5.6% last time I...
So basically you're in the 3% range of normal inflation then? Fuck.
Check, that's almost a...
By the way, regular inflation has gone down since it's not still 14 fucking percent like it was in 1980. So obviously it can come down, but once your wages go up, they stay that way.
Percent gap. Food rose 1% for the month, 8.8% over the years. Prices for goods such as rice, ground beef, citrus fruits, and fresh vegetables all posted gains of more than 2% in March.
Yes, if you mix all kinds of foodstuffs as if they're equal.
Prices were up 11% and 32% respectively, as gasoline prices popped 18.3% for the month.
Oh my God, it's almost as if that's exactly why foodstuffs are more expensive, because you have to bring them to your fucking face.
Price gains in clothing, services excluding energy and medical care, each which increased 0.6% for the month.
Mm-hmm. That's by the way why they adjust it for
Transportation services also rose 2%, bringing its 12-month gain to 7.
Transportation services went up 2%, considering fuel went up 18%.
7%. These are monthly increases. Soaring gas.
No, yes. The 7.7 isn't though, fucko.
Prices are forcing some Uber and Lyft drivers off the road. You can't, when prices for gasoline are going up almost 20% a month.
20% a month. Think what that means.
Food prices. More on food prices. Here are items predicted.
Yes, here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Levin's More on Food Prices.
Cost a whole lot more at grocery stores. I'm going through the various news items. Poultry and eggs, fat.
Yes, we see the word items, Mark. Poultry and eggs, fats and oils. Well, shit. Somebody call Madison Cawthorn. Cancel the orgy.
Oils, fruits and vegetables, non-alcoholic beverages, like...
Hold on, non-alcoholic. He said alcoholic. I feel seen.
Fats and oils, fruits and vegetables, non-alcoholic beverages, like...
That's right, non-alcoholic. What?
Milk, sugar and sweets, cereal and bakery, and may I mention meat. Supply...
No, you may not. It wasn't listed in that. You're making it up. You just wanted to mention meat.
Prices rose 11.2%. What are those? This is called the Producer Price Index. This affects you too. The prices that goods and services...
And by the way, no, it doesn't. The PPI is not linked to regular inflation any more than printing money for the monetary policy. All these fuckers who are telling you that we're printing too much money and it's driving prices up. First of all, have no idea what's going on. Our inflation is not economic. It is based on supply shock and demand and fuel costs. It has nothing to do with regular, I got a lot of money, so I'm going to buy my way to the front of the line on everything. That's not how it works. We don't have that kind of money. So, that could explain the rise in prices on used cars, and that's it. The PPI is not getting passed along.
Producers receive, like wholesalers, rose in March at the fastest pace since records have been kept, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported. The producer...
Yes, it's almost as if we're recovering from a pandemic and the economy is righting itself. I'm kidding. They printed a lot of money and people have too much. Don't you realize Mark Levin wants to save you from all the piles of money you have?
Price index, which measures the prices paid by wholesalers, increased...
Wait a minute. Excuse me. Look, I've been on a lot of cruise ships. And I visited a couple of moored military ships. I have not met any wholesalers.
Producer Price Index, which measures the prices paid by wholesalers,
I thought wholesalers get paid. Am I wrong? Hoes gotta eat.
The Producer Price Index, which measures the prices paid by wholesalers, increased 11 point...
Sorry. He's clearly saying wholesalers. But not even try. I'm sure wholesalers do it better.
2% from a year ago, the most in a data series going back to November 2010 on a monthly basis.
Not 2010, not a pre-pandemic year.
The gauge climbed 1.4%, stripping out food, energy, and trade services. Although I don't know why you would strip out food and energy.
And trade services, well, first of all, trade services are, because nobody's traveling and there's all kinds of, back and forth, the cost of a boxcar and that kind of shit. And then, of course, energy, stripping that out because not everybody drives. A lot of big cities, for example, commuters can make up that cost by taking the train or those kind of things. So you take that out or you lower it to take the inflation aspect of it out, not the ultimate cost. And then stripping out food because the cost of it hasn't increased PPI-wise.
It seems to me to be the biggest. So-called core PPI, or Producer Price Index, rose 0.9% on a monthly basis. That's where you get the 10 or 11% on an annual basis. That's excluding food and energy. Supply chain crisis continues. We never had a supply chain crisis.
Well, we've never reshored almost every industry from China in one fell swoop, fucko.
The Biden policy decision, says the former Secretary of Transportation.
What? Elaine Chao says that something is Biden's fault? My God. Why won't that woman's husband speak to her and tell her how she should speak? Oh, right.
Chao under Donald Trump. And what are those whole host of Biden policy decisions? They've been telling you that our ports are working 24/7. I'll give you an example. Long Beach has 7. One is working 24/7. Why?
By the way, this is ancient fucking news. There's not a huge backup at our ports. Hold on. I have to do this real quick. I think Ron Filipowski had this up. Yeah, there you go. He posted so much shit. It's gonna be hard to find. Yeah, here you go. With Shanghai in protracted total COVID lockdown. Hi, Ron. By the way, great work with this picture. These are the ships currently stuck waiting to be loaded or offloaded. Supply chain, fuel costs, and inflation is a global problem being driven by many factors, including war. Biden isn't the cause of record gas prices in Japan. This is outside of Shanghai. This is the port backup. It ain't over here. Now, part of me, honestly, part of me thinks Levin's too fucking stupid to know this. On the other hand, I don't think he would care to look to make sure he wasn't talking out of his ass. Look at that. These are all parked ships, like in circulation. So how long they've been sitting there over a period of time. The ones that are moving, the ones that are totally moored, the ones that are kind of like drifting. Honestly, does anybody think boats and hoes, right, Mike? Does anybody think this asshole even bothered to look?
All working 24/7 because of union rules for the longshoremen, because of environmental rules in California.
Fucking unions and the environmentalists, man, blowing it for everybody. How am I supposed to get my portable testicle tanner? I've put that in my goals to start that this week. And it's sitting out there like 4 boats deep. Fuck it. I'm a bootstrap it and get in a rowboat and go out and get it myself.
Can't work 24/7. What's Joe Biden doing about that? Absolutely nothing. Just another group he's bought and paid.
His group he's bought and paid for. Yeah, you union dock workers and you're just bought and paid for by Biden. You're a bunch of suckers and losers.
Biden, new plan to fight inflation. Remember he talked about going after big meat? And now it's big oil? And of course...
No, I don't remember him calling it big meat, but I'm glad you did.
All of this has to do with Putin. Everything that's in...
I'm sorry, with who?
And of course, all of this has to do with Putin.
I'm sorry. Can you speak in my good ear?
Big oil. And of course, all of this has to do with Putin. Everything that's in short supply, everything where inflation is going through the roof, where the currency is being debased by deficit spending, it's on Putin. Look, Putin's a monster. He's committed atrocities of the worst kind. He's a...
Yeah, but you gotta understand, Mark had to go out to dinner at a steak place with Sean Hannity, and Sean made him pick up the fucking check. And they didn't have his normal filet mignon. I mean, it was a skirt steak. It was stepped on. It's a bunch of
genocidal
bullshit.
maniac. But that does not give Biden a pass on what he's doing to our country internally. His policies are destroying the United States of America. They are destroying our economic system. They're destroying your pensions. They're destroying...
Yes, and by the way, so far the policies that he has named is a strategy to open the ports that was used last August, which is totally not necessary right now, and apparently saying things like big meat and big oil.
Whatever salary you are receiving, whatever bonuses you receive, they're driving up medical costs. They're creating food shortages.
That's true. If you show up at your doctor's like Mark does and ask for a hot meat injection, you're going to be waiting a long time.
Next thing you know, listen to me, we're going to have brownouts and blackouts and gas shortages. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Like we did in the 70s? Even in odd days, you can fill up your car. It's coming. And it's not because Russia invaded Ukraine. It's because the Democrats invaded the Oval Office in Congress. These are their policies at work. Remember what they said. They embraced Bernie Sanders, who you don't hear from anymore. Gee, I wonder why.
I think they embraced him to death. I think they embraced him too tightly. They gave him a big squeeze, and it just, he
embraced this Marxist agenda of rejiggering the entire society, of destroying...
Yes, that's what it is. Biden is guilty of rejiggering the entire society. That's what it is. It's a mass jiggering.
Fuels. You remember that document about 120 pages in length that Bernie Sanders and Biden put out? The most radical screed in American political history? It could have been written.
Well, clearly not. I mean, there was an American Communist Party, and the Nazis actually, gathered in New York City. They had some demands as well. Also, the Constitution of the Confederacy is a bit fucked. So
Marx and Engels. That's what they're instituting. Whether it's cultural, whether it's economic, whether it's political, whether it's immigration, they're going through.
Well, if that's the case, why doesn't he nationalize the oil and just pass it the fuck out? If this is Marxist socialism, communism, commie, then why doesn't Biden just say, okay, everybody gets, this is how much food we got, we'll just pass it out to Americans. We're just going to socialize the entire thing. This is just silly.
His staff, the people he has surrounded himself with, who are the radicals of the radicals, this is what they're instituting. U.S. government debt. U.S. government debt, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, the deficit went down last year.
Is over $30 trillion.
Our economy is somewhere in the order of $26 trillion a year. A year. Our total debt is $30 trillion. Every year, the United States takes in or moves around $30 trillion in if you combine what's interest that's made on stuff versus things that are bought and sold. We have an enormous fucking economy. It's doubled since 2000. We used to have what was it? An $8 trillion economy and $10 trillion worth of debt. And everybody's like, fuck me. And then we're like, we've got a $26 trillion economy and we've got $30 trillion worth of debt. You see anything? about that looks similar? Yeah, it's a base percentage.
When Biden took office, it was about $23 trillion.
That's because of the budget from Trump's last year, fucko.
$30 trillion. It's unimaginable.
I can imagine it, actually. Doing it right now. Kind of looks like a cash version of the last scene in Raiders.
Percentage of the GDP we haven't seen since the height of World War II, and we are surpassing.
Hold on. Yeah, but we're possibly on the edge of World War III and dealing with the biggest land war in Europe since World War II. The fuck?
In peacetime, relative peacetime. That's not...
Thank you for that caveat. I don't know if you guys noticed. It's relative peacetime. Yeah. So it's like when your relatives are at peace, and that includes your third cousin who's sleeping on your couch who goes into a drunken stupor and beats the fuck out of everybody. Relative peacetime.
One. Number two, the interest on this debt is...
By the way, relative peacetime. We're literally engaged in the biggest European land war since World War II, and we've just come out of a pandemic, and our economy is recovering better than everybody else's. We're half of the positive inflation rate of China, of Russia, of most European countries. It's just goofy.
Interest rates go up as they must because the currency is being devalued with inflation.
No, it is not. There aren't enough fucking dollars in the world.
Interest rates go up. We have to pay the interest on this debt. This takes a bigger and bigger percentage of the federal budget.
They haven't even started raising... the fucking interest is like 1/4 of a point.
We haven't had high interest rates for over a decade. Now they're going to start to kick in. So
Yeah, now they're going to start to kick in. Oh yeah, they're going to be 1/2 point. That's not even true.
Are going to see high inflation. You're going to start to see shortages.
By the way, raising interest rates is one of the things the Fed does to lower inflation.
You're going to see costs going way up, supplies going way down. This is the horror that is created by the left.
Horror!
When they abuse the laws of economics. The laws of economics are just as correct as the laws of physics. You can't change them with legislation.
First of all, the fuck they are. Economics are part psychology. They're easily manipulated. You're dealing with other currencies the world over. The Chinese currency is completely manufactured as far as it's worth. Get the fuck out of here. It's not physics.
Can't change them with borrowing. Mankind...
Yes, you can. If you can't change them with borrowing, then who gives a shit if you borrow? How would it lower the amount, the volume of money in the economy?
Experienced this sort of thing before, whether in Germany or Zimbabwe or Venezuela or wherever you look. You keep...
No, we haven't. That sovereign foreign debt that wasn't accrued, that was all accrued at separate times. Like the fucking Germans attacked the world. Venezuela and Zimbabwe got into those messes specifically, one through a civil war and one through the mismanagement of natural resources. Good Lord.
Printing money.
We're not printing money. We're not. Fucking the Fed made money on the 2008 crash. Even with the losses, the loans paid back more than they took.
Creating economic dislocations. You keep creating situations where people don't know where to put their money. They don't know what to invest in. Research and capital. They're not sure where to go and so forth and so on.
There you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the reality. A man who knows fuck all about the market is concerned about the best place to make a lot of money on the dip. And this guy, like a lot of these assholes, is rooting for a crash because that's the big dumb way of making a lot of money on the stock market. You know it's going to come back. You know it's going to come around, and you just want to make the whole thing shit the bed so you can throw your money at it because you've got cash because you're fucking on Fox. God damn, this is lazy.
You're having a war against fossil fuels.
Am I?
What happens? You get less fossil fuel. We were energy.
Oh. So Biden gave out 34% more leases in his first year than Trump did in his first year, opened up more public land, and has 9,000 standing leases on public and private land because he's at war with,
Tenant, 18 months ago, 15 months ago. Now we're begging Venezuela and Saudi Arabia for oil?
No, we're not. We're asking them to increase supply so it lowers the price for everyone on fucking Earth. Because guess what? I don't know if you know this, but the ships that come here from China and Southeast Asia and Korea and South America and that come from Europe to bring goods and services over here, you know those ships? We don't fill those with oil. We don't fill those with fuel. They do it in their own fucking countries. And if the price goes up, it goes up across the world. And so if you increase the supply, it brings that down, and that lowers prices for everyone, including us. But those assholes, if there's no oil, if there's no fuel for those ships, we can't just make some and give it to them to get our shit over here quicker. Although kind of that's what we do when we release stuff from the strategic reserves. That's our sort of hope. We play favorites a little bit is the theory, but not to the Chinese boats. How the fuck does this asshole not know?
No, Putin didn't do that. Joe Biden did that. Chuck Schumer did that. Nancy Pelosi.
Also, Putin
did that. The Democrat Party did that. That's who did that. Never forget. So we have around 30.
Jesus Christ. Does this pass for a show on this network? It's 13 minutes of this dick yelling Life, Liberty, and Levin. Is he on Saturdays or something? I thought this was like just relegated to like, I don't care.
$31 trillion in debt. And Biden wanted to add, I want you to remember, the Build Back Better nonsense, another $6 trillion. Where would we be today with that?
Over 10 years. And all of those things have economic benefits. It's also paid for. That doesn't add anything to the debt. That's the way it's fucking written.
Let's look at this country. Are we better today than we were 4 years ago? Cities across the U.S. are breaking all-time homicide records this year. Wow. And it's not just homicide.
No, they're not. Chicago is down year over year from last year. And everything spiked from the pandemic on. And by the way, does anybody go outside? Does anybody remember the summer of 2020? Is that what your city looks like right now? Has it looked that way? Did it look that way last summer, for fuck's sake? Much less now. Do you think it's going to look that way this summer? Do you think we're going to have another summer of like a Chop or a Chaz in fucking Seattle or fucking riots in Portland non-fucking stop or any of that stuff? Seriously. Because that's where we were 4 years ago. 2.5, 2 and change. And the literally the crime rate is basically at where it was in 2018.
It's violent crime across the board, and it's not just violent crime. You see how people are stealing things from stores willy-nilly and so forth. Utter lawlessness.
Yes, I've never met willy-nilly, but he doesn't seem like a friendly guy.
What's the Department of Justice doing? Chasing down parents in front of school boards. Going after...
Yes, that's what they're doing. The department, Merrick Garland has a big butterfly net, and he's chasing parents out around in front of school boards, I guess just for show. Oh, you mean, I know what he's talking about. The ones that threaten to murder everybody.
Republican legislatures where they disagree with what the will of the people have to say in a particular state about abortion or putting sensible voting laws back in place. What's the Department of Justice doing? They have 13,000 special agents in the FBI, give or take. 13,000. How many of those...
Give or take.
13,000 are focused on going after people who were quote-unquote parading or trespassing on January 6th. They say...
All right, we've been through this shit before. About 150.
Biggest investigation they have going today. The biggest one in the history of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Not terrorism, not the...
No. And first of all, it is terrorism. It's violence to enact a political will. But meanwhile, it's the biggest investigation they've ever had because of the amount of shit they are dealing with, the amount of evidence. Each one of these motherfuckers filmed themselves committing crimes. They're in other people's videos. They have to coordinate the fact that in court, they're like, here's this asshole filming himself on Facebook. As soon as he put his phone down, you can see this is him from this other angle. He's walking in. This is where he hit the fucking cop with the Blue Lives Matter flag. This is where he tased the dude. Here we go. Look at way back in the, Your Honor, if you do, we used our special software to center in on him. Yeah, that's him. That's him taking a shit in the corner of the rotunda. Yes. Yes, Your Honor, he is yelling, Trump made me do it. But on a personal, the state does not believe that is the case. We have no indication, technically or otherwise, although we understand the defense is bringing a medical witness, that Trump fed the man coffee and bran muffins for a week before he came in.
No, not sex crimes. Not the...
Yikes. Yeah, they've stopped looking at sex crimes entirely. It's weird. Yeah, they just stopped arresting people. The FBI just like, fuck it. Who cares? Biden's in now, so we're not investigating that shit anymore. Let it go.
Mexican cartels, January 6th. So how many of those 13,000...
Well, the FBI doesn't work on Mexican cartels except if they're in the country. If they're Mexican cartels, they're outside the country. It's a different... Right.
Special agents are busy looking at video. They say they've looked at 20,000 hours.
Yeah, those would be technical analysts. Those aren't the people. Those aren't field agents for the most part. But yeah, 150 of them.
Video. We got to get those trespassers and those paraders. Yeah, we all agree about violent crime. Of course, the media don't and the left don't. They were all fine with violence in the summer of 2020.
No, I wasn't. And I'm not now, and fuck you.
I mean, that, after all, was liberating. Now, let's look. Are we better off today than we were 4 years ago? Look at Afghanistan, a horrific surrender. The result...
Oh, yeah, right. We're not in Afghanistan. I forgot all about that. 4 years ago, we were in fucking Afghanistan. We're not in Afghanistan anymore. Mark, good job, buddy. Yeah, America was in Afghanistan for 20 fucking years, and we're not.
In the murder of 13 American soldiers. Look at Russia threatening to use nukes against us. Would they have done that under Donald Trump? Look at Iran.
Well, no, you don't have to nuke your own Christmas presents.
And getting nukes from this president. Would they have gotten nukes under Donald Trump? No, they were barely...
Iran isn't getting nukes under Biden. The idea is to stop them from getting them. They were developing them during Trump because he got out of the fucking deal. What was to stop them?
Having under Donald Trump, economically and otherwise. China producing more nukes than ever before. They weren't doing that under Trump either. I'd say our foreign policy...
What? First of all, what the fuck are you talking about? China has not upped their nuke production in the last 18 months. Like, there are rando assertions that I can almost forgive that he's just fucking dumb. But that's like such a weird reach and so obviously ridiculous.
Is an abject disaster. Absolute disaster. And
yes, abject disaster. Because 3.6% unemployment is fucking terrible. Business is getting back to work. We're not locked down like China because most of our people are vaccinated and boosted.
Threat to the United States. Look at our classrooms. The reason we have a parents' movement, because Joe Biden, the Democrat Party, and their big government, teachers, educational bureaucrats, unions have taken control of...
That is a huge union. That's a lot That's a mouthful. I might have to take. Is there a teacher that will teach me how to say all that bullshit?
Classrooms. They don't want parents involved in the teaching of their little babies. They're pushing transgender.
I don't know if you know this, but you don't teach babies in school. There are no public schools for babies. And grown men who talk about children as little babies creep me the fuck out.
And sexualization. They're pushing critical race theory. They're pushing all kinds of the hard left Marxist agenda on your little kids. The one thing they're not pushing is education. And then we have these executive orders.
Oh, yeah, the executive orders. This is where it gets, like, I don't know why he's screaming, Annie. I just think this is fun. Basically, this is just like an accumulation list of dead talking points or soon-to-be dead talking points. He's literally got shit from last summer that he's still selling.
Destroying women's sports.
Right.
Title IX. Womanhood.
Womanhood.
You can't even define a woman anymore.
Well, sure you can. I like some people would define it as an adult human female, and they just use that as the baseline. I would say it's more characteristic of the personality of the woman, of the female. They can be female, but not necessarily a woman. Hey, you might be a girl. You might be technically an adult, but not quite a woman. You know what I mean? Kind of like how like Tucker Carlson is an adult human male, but I wouldn't call him a man. You understand? Like you, Mark. I wouldn't call you a man. I wouldn't, and therefore I can't define a descriptor.
If a historic appointee, we're told, a black woman to the Supreme Court of the United States,
right?
Who can't even define why she's historic. What am I talking about? She wouldn't define what a woman is. Why?
She wouldn't define why she was historic? Oh, well, it's technically, Mark, and I know this frightens you, but she was historic because she was the first black woman, not the first woman. There's been other women. I don't know if you noticed. There's been several women on the court, RBG, Justice Thomas. See, I can't even. It's a descriptor.
Because she wants to be free to rule in a radical left way when it comes.
She wants to be free to rule in a radical. Oh, I see. Right.
These ideologies. They are destroying womanhood and women's sports.
Something I never watch, and I don't know, Mr. Producer.
And then, in my view, we have the most corrupt president in American history, potentially.
Potentially.
Mayor of Moscow's wife invested $3.5 million in the Biden.
Oh, by the way, this is the whole, this is the Fox narrative, which is the most labored part of their day. Every day, getting up, trying to figure out how to square the circle that Joe Biden is a forgetful, doddering old codger who can't tie his shoes and doesn't know why he's in a room and can't finish a sentence, who also is the mastermind behind a international crime syndicate that puts the mob, the triad, and all the cartels to shame. He's Dr. Evil meets Don Corleone.
Family, China.
But he also has dementia.
Invested tens of millions of dollars in the Biden family. The former Ukrainian regime invested millions of dollars in the Biden family.
Then why aren't they still the Ukrainian regime? If they invested all that money, I don't think they got what they paid for. As a matter of fact, I'm beginning to think that Biden's like crazy like a fox. Like he fucked these guys. Because Yanukovych, let's just play along with Mark's idea here that Yanukovych somehow was funneling money into the Bidens. What happened? Yanukovych had to flee the country, and he lives in Russia now.
We don't know about Joe and Joe Biden's S corporations. They haven't released their tax.
Yes, they have.
Turns on that.
Yes, they have.
They invested millions in the Biden family.
Also, the S corps are for their book earnings. This isn't even news.
What do we know about this other than what some of these intrepid reporters have been doing?
What could it be?
Not enough.
Oh, no.
Shouldn't we know?
Yeah.
If Joe Biden is the Manchurian candidate?
Yes, if he's the Manchurian candidate, because that's what the Chinese did. The Chinese, in their infinite wisdom, created, they took a young Joe Biden, They took him off the train, and he's like, "Did I sleep that train right away?" Yes, you did, Joe. Wink, wink, dunk, dunk. And they picked him up, and they hypnotized him, and they dumped him back on the train. And then they hit him, and they skipped. He thought he was just sleeping on a train year after year after year, when they were really just putting him in a chamber like the fucking Winter Soldier, and he's biting a piece of leather, and they were just feeding information into Joe Biden's head to create him like, one day you will be president, Joe Biden, because everyone thinks so. We're putting all our eggs in your basket. And then we're going to put you in the presidency, and you're going to do what we say. And what we want you to do for China is form a military alliance between the UK, the United States, Japan, and Australia to give Australia nuclear-powered sub-technology to protect Taiwan. Send a delegate, recognize the country recognize Taiwan as a separate country, and then who thought up this plan?
We know if he's been bought off and sold out. I think we should.
Bought off and sold out. If he's been sold out, they sold him out. They fucking sold me out, but they bought me off. I'm just flush with cash. I've been bought off and sold out. Which money do I spend first?
There's more predicates here than you can throw a stone at to have a special counsel investigation. Are we better off today than we were 4 years ago? Hell no. The country's in grave straits.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Grave straits? That might be a phrase. Grave straits. In the gravy straits?
Than we were 4 years ago? Hell no. The country's in grave straits.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Yeah, that was a total fucking waste of time. Just saying, for the record. I've got time left. No, I don't. Jesus Christ, today went by fast. How did it go by so fast? It's all that Tucker Carlson ball nonsense. Everything else is so goddamn long. All right, I will add. There's a couple of things I want to do, and I'm gonna put them on the show tomorrow. Yeah, how does a crime boss get bought off, Otis? I know. Here's the big question. This is, I think, the part that most of us have a hard time dealing with. Is that the allegation is that Joe Biden is a doddering old fart who can't remember his own goddamn name, and yet he's the head of the Pentaveret, and his son is his bag man, who, like every bag man, complains when he has to pay for his dad's shutters. Yeah, it is dire straits. Thank you, Kelly. I don't know what the fuck that was. So how do you do both? How is it that Biden is a doddering old fart, but he's the head of a giant corrupt syndicate? Just saying. Also, you think this has anything to do with the fact that Jared and Ivanka walked out of the Middle East with $2 billion in the last couple of months after they left the administration? It might be one of the reasons why you haven't seen hide nor hair of them anywhere near Trump or Don Jr. or Eric. Curious that. Don't you think? Funny. Anyways, multiple personalities. They just need to keep track. And by the way, like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Today's show went by so friggin' fast. I feel like I barely got started. It's crazy. But much love to you guys. I will see you tomorrow in the afternoon, regular time, 3 p.m. Again, next week, if you're in the LA area, Tuesday night is the Ukraine benefit at the Whiskey. And then on Wednesday night, Nerd Halen is at Viper Room. So it's kind of like an old Sunset Strip rock week early thing. Be lovely. And yeah, there you go. There's so much chat going by. It's crazy. Don't forget to give a thumbs up, support the show, share it out. There are clips, all that kind of stuff. I feel like it just zipped by, so I didn't get a chance to even do any. I didn't reset. It was terrible. So yeah, and there's so many videos I want to do. God damn, I just have no time. There's so much of this crap. Like, can I just? All right, I'm not going to do this one. I just want to show you before I leave, like how fucked up. And it's funny. That 1 second.
None of the people out there are crazy.
Shut up. This asshole again. The Great Reset It begins. That's the title of this fucking video. Like, he's basically, like, he was hippie Alex Jones, and then Alex Jones got sued into a fucking oblivion, and so now he's hippie Glenn Beck. Dude, it's nuts. And then there was another one. I want you to see this.
Look, it's me, Russell.
And look, you. It's all right. I want to show you the art on this. This is the end times. You were right. They lied. Now, if you'll see this red bar, I watched this whole fucking thing. And, like, see these ones, I give up on some of them. I'm like, fuck this. But some of these, like, we've done on the show, this is fucking terrifying. You can't make this shit up. You were right, they lied. This is the end times, the Great Reset. It begins. By the way, Klaus Schwab, this dude from the World Economic Forum that Glenn Beck freaks out about ESG and all that kind of shit. All of the stuff that he's recommending is shit Russell believes. It's amazing watching Russell try to figure his way in and out of this argument, since he actually buys into every fucking thing. Oh, God. Anyway, so the amount of garbage that goes through my noodle just so we can weed through this shit. And this fucker's selling the end times. I got news for you, folks. The world is not going to end. Not anytime soon. It's not. I'm sorry to tell you this. I know some of you were counting on it. Nope. And the New World Order that everyone's talking about is a trade and travel order amongst safe countries. I mean, I wish it was some big spooky fucking thing, but it ain't. Never has been. And all the people who are like, oh dear God, the end times are here because the New World Order is Jesus is going to come back. Like, all that it's a waste of fucking breath. Most of the people on Earth are getting up every goddamn morning and putting one foot in front of the other, trying to make this place better for themselves, their families, and the rest of the world. Oh, God. Oh, I'm aggravated. It's a good way to end the show, though. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Chip, I need pets. I need to pet you. Get ready. Okay, bye, guys.